ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tony Venus and welcome to another video. And in this video we're going to talk about grouping in Illustrator. So very similar to what we were working with before with layers. If you're not familiar with what layers are, please go back and take a look at the actual layers video. It's very quick on how layers work out all together. So with these layers, what we're going to be doing here is, with groupings, I should say, what we're going to do here is we're going to take a lot of these objects that we have here. These are all individual objects that we want to do or use. And let's say I like the way they're positioned. Everything we have here is positioned properly and where I want it to be. So what I could do here is I can do this in multiple different ways. I can either select the objects individually, which is holding Shift and clicking on all the objects. Or if I feel like all the objects are right where they need to be, I can select them all at once. I can hold Control and I can hit G, or I can go to Object and I can hit Group. So Control G for group, or just Object Group right there. Now what this does is this allows me to move all of these objects all at once without fear of readjusting of any individual groups. So I can easily select these here and just move them around. Now this is using the selection tool. Now with the direct selection tool, this is going to be a little bit different. If I select the individual object, I can actually move these around. So this can be both a good way to do little small adjustments within a group, so they don't have to be ungrouped, which is again Control Shift G, or you can just go to Object Ungroup and do the same thing. So the advantages here is I gain control of a lot of little paths together and move them around in different ways and so forth. So I can easily go ahead and change the color all at once, or if I want to do everything in once, I can do that no problems. The other part of this is that within the actual layers panel, anything within a group becomes almost like its own little layer. It's like a sublayer within a sublayer. It's really weird. But anyways, it's a group layer that's going to have all the group objects in under that same group layer there. So this is another way for you to correct or select any of the hierarchy that you need to, and so forth. So I can also drop any of the other objects into here if I need to. So if I say I like, let's grab that ellipse right there. It's that third one from the fourth one from the top. I can move that into the actual layer itself, but I can also move it into, so let's say I move it into the layer, and now I can move it into the sublayer, so now it's all part of that group. So I can rearrange everything the way I want to, and so forth. So you have the ability to rearrange a lot of these layers to where it fits to your liking. Now there are very specific tools that will also be affected by this. So if I need to transform any of this, if I select the whole group, I can transform the whole group accordingly. So I can transform that to make it a little bit small, a little bit bigger, and so forth. I can do a little bit of the works with the puppet warp, which will go more in detail. I did go in more detail into another video. So if I do this, hit my puppet warp, pin it, and then I can actually move the group accordingly as a whole group versus individual shapes and so forth. So it's little things like that that is going to allow you to help out with your grouping and moving things forward within Illustrator. So it's important to learn when to group objects together when you need it, so that way if they're not being positioned or repositioned or anything like that, especially when you have it specifically flush to other objects, you want to make sure those objects stay together so that way they're not being messed up, or they're not being moved around individually and so forth. Even nudging will mess that up, and especially if you need it flush and so forth. So, all right, so that is groups in a nutshell in Illustrator. Next we're going to go over, or another video that I'm going to go over, is the clipping mask itself, because it's going to be very similar in the sense of how everything's layered within the layers. So it's going to be a clipping group. Well, you'll see. All right. Once again, my name is Tony Venus, and I'll see you in the next video.